team plays great for 2 periods and change. Noel Acciari, of all people, turns to the inside of the rink, defensive blue line, hands the puck to one of the world's premier players. Nikita Kucherov goes in all alone on a breakaway against Tristan Jarry, and there goes the tie game. There goes the entire game. And yeah, good morning to you. On that happy note, good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates that are just about as cheery these days. Lightning 5, Penguins 2. Not sure that the Penguins have had a more impressive overall performance in a loss all season, but that and 0 points will still get you 0 points. Acciari took it hard. Acciari took it personally. Acciari showed every bit of accountability you'd want to see from a veteran. But this result, when coupled with getting absolutely bombed by the Senators 24 hours earlier, yeah, this is starting to take on the feel of a team that needs something to push it through, that needs some nudge to get it across the line to be a whole lot less like the Ottawa game, a whole lot more like the Tampa Bay game, and ultimately, putting up results like the Edmonton game. Is it there? Yeah, I'm going to continue to insist on this. I'm not suggesting that the Penguins are some sort of cup contender or whatever. They ought to be in the playoffs. And once you're in the playoffs, especially in a conference that's, you can call it mediocre, I choose to call it tight, then almost anybody can push through it. There are seasons like this, historically, in the NHL. You will see some unusual and surprising teams advance way further than anyone would imagine in the upcoming playoffs. You just will. This is that kind of year. And if we're being honest with each other here, this might be the only kind of year out of however many are left for the great Sidney Crosby. What's missing? What could that push be? I don't know. I don't know that it's one person or it's one facet. And I also don't know what it'll mean if and when the Penguins come down to earth a little bit from the heady scoring they've been doing for about 6 weeks now, ranking number 1 in the NHL with 76 goals in that time. But I'm comfortable sharing some gut feelings on this. I really don't want to just keep pounding on the goaltending here, but one of the points that I've made, I hope, really clear over the past couple of months is that neither of the current goaltenders is the solution, short or long term, as a starting goaltender. And if we're having a conversation about the starting goaltender in January, that probably is the conversation that should shoot to the top of any list. Alex Nedeljkovic did not play well against the Senators, this after having a wonderful game against the Oilers. And Jarry was himself yesterday. He gave up goals that you didn't want to give up at the time that you didn't want to give them up. Game's tied, and you're just waiting for one to get past him. Now, again, do you sit there and blame him for getting beaten on a one-on-one snipe by Kucherov? No. But you'd give him a lot of credit if he made the save. And that's what's needed more than anything. Independent of the personalities involved or whatever. I'm not getting into the whole Jarry versus Nedeljkovic thing every time this comes up because that's not really the issue here. The name that I keep bringing up again and again and again and again isn't either of those guys. It's giving a real chance to Joel Blomqvist, who's been here and who has already provided some of the best goaltending the Penguins have seen this season, even though he was hardly here at all. I wouldn't mind seeing the defense sort itself out, but I maybe naively here still have hopes for Jack St. Ivany to make a quick rebound in some form once he's all the way back physically and all else. I'm not sure there's much else that can be done at that position, but I feel like there's a ton that can be done at the other positions. meaning in particular the bottom 6 forwards. I've really liked, and I said this from the first night onward, what I've seen of the big line of Kevin Hayes, Jesse Puljujarvi, and Drew O'Connor. And even after this weekend, I'd like to see it get more of a chance. But I'd also like to see that fourth line turned into more of a rotation, a constant competition, at least within whatever NHL rules for player movement and salary caps and all that other stuff will allow. There is nowhere set in stone that Acciari and Matt Nieto and all the other names that I'm bringing up constantly need to be 82-game guys. They just don't. They were bringing penalty-killing excellence. Now they're not. And when they're not, they're exposed for what little else they offer. Whereas if you bring somebody up from Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, you put them out there and they surprise you, maybe even pop a couple of goals. You don't know. If you bring up someone, I'm not dropping names here to advocate that they come up because I'm not watching these guys, scouting these guys on a daily basis. But let's say you bring up someone like a Ville Koivunen right after he gets a hat trick and you say, hey, maybe this guy could do something for us. And he shows early the way, I don't know, you remember when Valtteri Puustinen first came up? Like that, where you go, whoa, hey, might be something here. You will not ever have a night where that happens because of Acciari and Nieto. And as long as you're not killing penalties well, you got to make changes on the PK anyway. I don't know. I keep coming back to personnel, and I don't know that that's wholly fair because it can't be entirely about personnel. For instance, personnel and the way they were deployed didn't cost them the game Saturday against Ottawa. That was the players. They should all be wearing that one. Still. Then along comes, the game against the Oilers or the one yesterday where you go, man, they just did everything right. So what's next? What's next? That's what this team, specifically this general manager, should be focused on when we come back. J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts.
Abandoned ship, Bob. Sell the team. Are you a Pirates fan who is angry or apathetic about our perennial losing baseball team? Do you feel helpless because you don't know how to make a difference? Well, good news. We have something you can do about it. Join our Sell the Team movement. We're a group of passionate fans voicing our frustration and demanding change through billboard campaigns, press outreach, protests, and involvement at local city government meetings. Go to ourteamnothis.com to get involved.
Today's J1Q comes from Ed, who says DK Noel Acciari has been a warrior, but his playing with the puck instead of exiting it out of the Penguins' zone served to tee it up for Nikita Kucherov. Just a brutal way to lose a well-played game in which the Penguins widely outshot Tampa Bay, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. It's funny because at the same time, that specific storyline where, the game's tied, it's late in regulation, and you're just waiting for something bad to happen, and then it happens, that probably, I would imagine for most people, takes some of the sting off, but also maybe not. You refer to Acciari as a warrior, and that's a term that's come from Mike Sullivan. Maybe that's why you're using it as it relates to Acciari, and I've always had a couple of problems with it. Look, he can call anybody whatever it is that he wants, so I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to use it, but as long as he's using it and it's in public, I feel like I can have an opinion on it. One reason I haven't liked it is the only other player I ever heard him describe that way was Patrick Hornqvist. And Hornqvist had Warriors mentality when he went to Starbucks. And I kid you not on this front. There's a Starbucks near the Penguins practice facility in Cranberry. And because of our mutual tendencies and mutual time schedules, we would often be there at the same time, only he wasn't there for very long. To watch Hornqvist order a coffee and then storm into the place, get his drink, and go as if his order was set to explode if he didn't consume it within 30 seconds. That had to be seen to be believed. And yet, as I'm describing it to you right now, you can picture this, can't you? Yeah, I thought so. I'm not sure I want Hornqvist being compared to anybody for quite a while, okay? Much less someone who produces as little as Acciari does. Acciari gets the nickname and the accolades from his teammates and everything else, and they're very much deserved because he is willing to put himself into harm's way. He does this all the time. In the game yesterday, early on, he went flying into the Tampa Bay net. I mean, flying. And then as he was trying to get up, Jake Gensel, without seeing him, clips him in the face, and you just see him come back to the bench like, oh, warrior, yeah, warrior, not him, them. And he'll lie down in front of pucks on the penalty kill, which, by the way, is the real origin of Sullivan calling him that. And it's a whole lot of things that don't necessarily add up to much. There isn't much hockey in the equation other than the whole warriorness and, of course, the very real and measurable shot suppression involved. But do you keep a forward on the roster? Never mind pay him as much as Acciari gets with his $3 million, because he'll keep one or two of 60, 65, 70 shot attempts from getting through to the goaltender, who's wearing all kinds of equipment and has only one job on the rink, and that's to stop those pucks himself. You see where I'm going here? Put those spots to better use, advance the cause, get through to whatever this next level might be. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll do another one of these tomorrow when the Kraken are here.